Autos are trash, bro. But are they really, though? There are a lot of myths surrounding autos, and today we're going to break all that down. So let's get into it. What's up, ICANN fam? Welcome back to another episode on the ICANN fam show where we discuss everything dank, man. We talk about Blaze stuff, we get Blaze together. I'm Blaze, I just ripped a massive bowl. But today we're going to bust a lot of myths, man, because there are a lot of myths when it comes to autos. And a lot of you guys run autos. So today we're going to break all that down. What's true, what's not true, is it true, why should it be true? But before we get into that, man, I just want to shout out all the ICANN VIP Bean Club members, man. So let's get straight into that. We got a few ICANN VIP homies that recently joined up, and we got some old school ones as well, man. If you guys want to join up, I see you guys. Hit the link down below. Join up with the fam, man. We got a lot of great stuff going on out there, but today we want to shout out Bill Snodgrass Adventures, man. Big up to Bill and my main man Chris McNeese as well, man. Chris McNeese has been there since day friggin' one. Shout out to Chris, man, and of course not new, man. We can't forget you as well, man. Shout out to my homie Fred. Big ups to everyone out there, man. Everyone always showing love. ICANN VIP Bean Club, it's poppin'. It's definitely where you want to get some fire genetics. And guys, like I was telling someone the other day, man, like a lot of packs of genetics out here go for like $100, $200. Like some of the in-house packs, 200, 250. Some of the Elevate packs, it's like $100. Like Ethos, 100. So you know, a lot of you guys, if you guys want to get some fire genetics, the ICANN VIP Bean Club is a great way to do that, man. Because for $25 a month, man, you can get some great stuff. You get fire genetics, you get other stuff, great perks, great benefits, and you can support the channel, man. And straight up, I don't make anything from this, man. It's just about giving back to the community, man. So if you want to sign up, definitely hit the link in the Patreon, pin comment down below. But shout out to everyone that is supporting, man. And also, guys, we got some fire 420 gear that we're putting out on dieseldogclothing.com, so definitely check that out. Cop some fire 420 gear, support the channel, and show some love, man. But let's get into today's episode, because it's all about the friggin' autos, man. There are a lot of myths going on around it. You guys know there's a lot of myths when it comes to bro science, a lot of myths when it comes to people doing all sorts of stuff in the kind of industry, man, because there are a lot of ways that people have been able to level up their grow, doing, you know, little DIY things, jerry rigging stuff, and, you know, MacGyver and stuff like that. But today we're just going to break down exactly what is the truth, what's the facts, what's good about the autos, and what's a straight up myth, man. Because there are a lot of things out here that people be talking, and a lot of it is straight up bullshit, bruh. That's that bullshit. So let's not fall for that bullshit. Let's do that good shit, because we don't want to get in those situations where people are just selling us some bullshit. We want that real shit, that good shit, man. We want that perfect shit. So what we're going to do today is break all that down, man. And the first one that I actually noticed, and a lot of people say, man, that probably is one of the biggest friggin' myths, is that a lot of people say autos are less potent. But is it really, though? Is it really, though? I don't hear it, though. You know, a lot of people are skeptical about the quality, and the internet is full of these myths and stuff saying that they're less potent, they're a little bit, you know, softer on the taste, on the effects and stuff. All right, and I think, personally, that's a myth, man, because that's probably one of the biggest myths. A lot of the growers out here will actually say that's not true. A lot of auto growers will say that's not true. Now, that rumor, I think, personally, may have generated around the time of the release of the original lowrider strain, man. The original old school lowrider strain, like years back, dude. That was one of the old school autos, one of the first autos. People were like, that shit's trash, it sucks. Like, a lot of people nowadays laugh at the lowrider autos, man. But the lowrider auto is actually a cross between Northern Lights number 2, Williams Wonder, and a Ruderalis variety. And that's often literally considered, like I said, one of the first auto-flowering strains to hit the market ever. It's a medical strain, a medicinal strain. It was designed to help relieve symptoms of stress, insomnia, and pain and stuff like that. It was released over 10 years ago, super long time ago. So you can imagine, like, back then, that autoflower may not have been the absolute best, man. But we've come a long way since then, and a lot has changed since those days. So the potency, the testing, the profiles, all that sort of stuff has been a lot better, a lot more improved, and we got a lot of feminized breeds as well, man. A lot of people don't even know. Back in the day, you can get regular autoflowers. You can still get regular autoflowers, man. Autos that turn out to be male or female. A lot of people think all autos are femmes, but that's not actually true, man. And man, I love this green tee that I'm rocking right now, man. Shout out to Cat Bar Jones, hooked me up with this dope tie-dye. So sick, man. It's super trippy, man. Shout out to Cat Bar Jones, man. Big ups to my man hooking me up with that, man. If you guys want to Yeah, hit up Cat Bar Jones and he can probably hook you up with some of these dope tie-dye designs. I don't know, but I'm gonna leave that to Cat Bar, man. But the second myth, guys, because we got a lot of myths, man, and I want to be straight up about the myths with you guys, because a lot of people, they frown upon the autos for certain reasons and stuff like that, but no need to frown upon them, man. Give them a try. Now, the second big myth that I've noticed is that a lot of people say autoflowers produce smaller yields, and that is, to some extent something that can be, considered a truth, but it all depends on the plant, man, the genetics. It all depends on how you grow it, the environment, because I've also seen some autos that produce banging yields, man. Autos that look like photos, autos that look like trees, man, like straight up trees. So a lot of people will say that yes, it's a low risk, it's a high risk rather, but low yield sort of thing. But if you flip that around, you can actually think of it like, well, it may be a low risk. I don't have to flip the flower. Autos don't get any issues with light leaks or anything like that. I've never really had an auto flower that's hermied from a light leak or anything like that. Like it's all good, man. So you can actually train them properly, run them properly, and you may be able to get a high yield in a real short period of time. So in that way, it may actually not be as bad as you first thought, dude. Think of it that way. That could be a good thing, man. It could be a good thing, man. So like literally, when I was saying like a lot of the old school lowriders and stuff as well, those were literally designed to be like super small plants. Like the autoflowers are naturally small plants, and that was designed to be a real small plant for you to grow it like on a windowsill or a balcony or something like that. And it only grew to heights of about 40 centimeters and produced a lot smaller yields than like your regular photoperiods. But like I said, a lot of the photoperiods and the autoflowers rather nowadays have come miles, leaps and bounds, and they're just so much better, man. And they actually produce a lot more. Like the internodal stacking on some of those plants are really nice. And some of those, even though some autos will still grow a little bit small, some of them actually grow a little bit bigger and they veg for a little bit longer. So we're getting a lot more advanced, in terms of the ways of breeding these autos, and new varieties can grow just as tall as the regular photos, man. So always think of it that way. Don't like shoot yourself in the foot just because you're like, okay, I don't want to grow an auto because all autos are small. Like that's not always the case. And they actually got some banging autos, man. Now, another one that a lot of people overlook and actually just straight up don't really think about is the fact that, autos are not, really meant to be transplanted. But that is a myth also, right? Because a lot of people do transplant autos, but you just got to be careful, man. So, like I said, this myth is partially true, okay? It's partially true simply because autos don't like a lot of stress, and transplanting autos is a little bit more complicated than, just transplanting a regular plant. You don't want it to get stressed. You don't want any issues with the roots. You don't want anything to stress the auto and cause it to trigger early flowering, right? So to avoid any complications during their growth cycle, a lot of growers are advised to plant their autos directly into their final home, right? So if you got a 5-gallon pot and you're going to plant it in that, then pop your seed in there. Don't pop it in a solo cup and then transplant up and all that sort of stuff, because the biggest concern when you're transplanting autos is shocking the roots, man. That literally will stunt your auto's plant growth for up to like 7 days. And 7 days is a lot. 7 days is a lot when it comes to the life of an auto. Like 7 days, bro? That's a lot, my man, especially when it comes to the autos. Because autos only veg for about, a month for most times, 3 to 4 weeks, So if you lose one entire week and you're vegging for 3 weeks, that means you veg for pretty much 2 weeks. You'll end up with a super small plant. So use these tips and tricks to level up your auto grow, man. And for sure, you don't want to get yourself in a position where, you stress out your auto in the transplant. Just let your plants run, man. Let it run, but don't let it get root bound either, man. If it's in a small pot and it gets root bound, that could be just as detrimental as stunning it. I've grown an auto in a 1-gallon pot. It got super big, but the pot was real small, and it just experienced some issues when it got into the flowering stage, man. It almost felt like it just couldn't do what it needed to do, man, just because it didn't have enough space. Now, there are also a lot of trains of thought and stuff like that where people say autos flower based on the taproot hitting the bottom. Taproot hitting the bottom of the pot, or taproot hitting a solid hard surface. That's what triggers the flowering. Now, that's not scientifically proven as far as I'm aware, but I would say that if you are planting in your final pot, try a taller, longer pot as opposed to a shorter pot. Like you can get 5-gallon squat pots, which are like the shorter, wider pots, or you can get a 5-gallon tall pot, which is a slightly taller pot. So maybe try the taller one, just because that root will be able to go down a little bit longer, and that way you won't get into any issues. But when it comes to transplanting, guys, definitely don't transplant. You can do it, but if you do it, be very careful with it, right? So always plant in your final pot. That's the first step. And the second step is always, if you need to transplant, be very, very careful. If you're in a solo cup, maybe cut around the solo cup, cut the solo cup, entirely. Don't get in there and really, disrupt the roots too much like you would with a photo period, just because like you don't want to stress them, right? So just simple stuff like that, man. Now let's see what else other myths we've got, man, because we got a lot of myths when it comes to the autos, guys. And this is the point where I like to ask you guys, what's the biggest myth that you guys have heard when it comes to autos? Is there anything that you guys have heard that was just super crazy? You're like, man, this is bullshit. That's wild. I don't believe that at all. And then when you tested it, you realize like that did not actually work, man. That was a complete myth. So let me know what you guys think, man. But let's get into the other myth, the myth number 4. This is another big one, guys. They say you can't top autos. Now, can you? Can you not? Are you supposed to? Are you not supposed to? Now, for those who don't know, topping is literally the process of, just cutting off the topmost part of your plant, right? And what happens is that when you top it, 2 auxiliary buds literally, or branches rather, literally poke out. So you get to increase your yield, increase your size of your plant, and really get a bigger, bushier plant rather than a tall Christmas tree-shaped plant, right? You get a wider, bushy plant, bigger yields, more bud size, more internodal stacking, and all that stuff. But a lot of people say, don't top the autos. You shouldn't top the autos, man. Why are you topping your autos? Do you top autos? Should you top the autos, man? There's a lot of questions and controversy when it comes to the autos and topping the autos. But what I would say is that you can do it with certain strains. So this one is a literally complicated myth, man. It's a complicated, it's a controversial, it's a diverse. It splits all the auto growers that I've known, man. Some people top, some people don't top. It's a hard one to tackle just because it's so divisive, right? Now, some growers actually swear by topping the auto, saying that it creates more colas per plant, ultimately increases their yields. They got like a certain timer to do it. They do it like at the 4th note or something, or sometimes you do it at the 3rd note, or sometimes you do it within the first 5 days, because if you do it after that, then you lose too much of your veg time. So there are a lot of different tips when people do it, tricks and stuff that people have just amassed over the years, but others argue that with such a short timeline, super short life period, it's a set life period for the autos, the time it takes for the plants to recover from actually topping sort of decreases their yield, so they don't like to do it. Now, for me personally, I've found that there's no black and white answer to this one, man. You can't just say yes, top your autos, or you can't just say no, top your autos, don't top them, because it may work with some cultivars as opposed to other ones, man. I've seen some autos that take toppings really well. They veg for a little bit longer. You get some really nice big plants, but I've also seen some autos that don't take topping well, man. That one top, they flower right after that. You got a plant this small. It's not fun, man. So again, there's no black and white answer to this issue, but what I would say, guys, is try both ways. Try topping, try not topping. If it works for you, give it a try again, because sometimes it may just be that strain. I've found in my experience that I stop topping. I don't top. I only low stress train. I let the plants run. I actually don't even low stress train my autos. I literally just plant them. I plant them in the ground. I leave them. I let them grow, and I try to see how far that bottom internodal branches, those bottom branches, stretch out and stuff like that. Check out my Gobsmack Genetics Seed to Harvest video, man. I did not do any training on them, and they turned out really nice. Some decent sized plants, and they were both really stressed in some small, one small pot, two autos in one pot. Man, just check it out. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like 2 autos in one pot. What did Matt just say? Is he crazy? That's a small pot, Matt. What are you doing, bro? Well, definitely check it out. It was pretty cool. But it all depends on your preferences and stuff like that. So some plants may be able to take the training, the topping and stuff like that. Some indica dominant autoflowers may not bother with topping just because they only have a few internodes anyway. The internodal stacking is super short. So look into your strain. If you got a sativa variety, on the other hand, maybe that may respond well to topping. Some of those amnesia hazes, sour diesels, stuff like that. They really stretch a lot, man. So even in the pre-flower strain stage. Pre-flower stage, what am I saying? Pre-flower stage. Even in the pre-flower stage, when the plant stretches, autos have that as well. Sometimes the autos stretch a lot, sometimes they don't stretch a lot. So it's all down to the auto, man. But let's continue with the myths, because we got a lot of myths, and that transplanting and the topping one, those are some great myths, man. Like I said, be very careful if you're transplanting. Cut around the thing, and don't let any roots get any cuts or anything like that. Don't disrupt the soil and mass down there and all that, man. But let's see what's the other myth, man. The other myth for me personally is that a lot of people say that, these ruderalis dominant strains, because that's what an autoflower is, a ruderalis dominant strain. It's CBD dominant, but in reality, it's not. That's a big myth as well, man. So you guys need to understand like the differences between CBD and THC to begin with, man. CBD, you got that cannabidiol, it's got that non-psychoactive, basically no high, and it contains less than 3% THC. It's less than 0.3% actually. So it's got to be a really little bit amount of THC in there for it to be actually classed as CBD. But when it goes to THC, we got that tetrahydrocannabinol. So that's a different type of molecule buildup, as you guys can see on screen now. And it's also psychoactive. It gets you high. You get lit. You get blaze. You feel good. You can meditate. But it contains more than 0.3% THC. So that's just a straight up difference right there. But it's a really common misconception about the autos, that the autos have high CBD and do not have THC in them, simply because a lot of people associate the ruderalis with CBD. Now, it's true. All autoflowering strains do contain ruderalis genetics, but that's what gives them the autoflowering trait. And we know that, right? So that is true, but it's not always true that they contain higher concentrations of CBD than THC. Just because the strain is ruderalis dominant does not mean it's naturally going to have a CBD dominant cannabinoid profile. There are a lot of advanced breeding techniques the breeders are now using that create strains which are ruderalis dominant and contain high levels of THC and CBD, both of them. So you can get both of them. A lot of them, like there's some fast buds that's out there doing some great stuff, and some of those you can get like 10% ruderalis, high in CBD, and 9% THC. There's other strains that are really, really doing some great stuff, man. So shout out even like Mephisto, man. Mephisto's doing some great stuff when it comes to those autos as well. Big ups to Mephisto. Shout out to Norma G, my main man, for hooking me up with some of these as well, man. Much love to Norma G, man. Always showing love. That's the homie right there. Now, what I would say, guys, that there's a lot of different things you guys can look for when it comes to your preferences. So if you prefer the CBD, then look for a strain that's high in CBD. If you prefer the auto that's more THC focused, look for a strain that's more along that, man. Now, a lot of people say, this is another myth, man. Let's get into the other myth. A lot of people say autoflowering strains don't flower in time, but this one is an easy one to debunk, man. Obviously, the flowering time of each auto varies. Some autoflowers will be ready for harvest in 60 to 90 days. Some may take a little bit longer, right? Some plants actually, may actually miss that auto gene completely during the breeding process, and that does happen. It's I've actually purchased autoflowering beans which turned out not to be autos. I had to flip the life cycle from 18 hours of light to 12 hours of light just to sort of trigger that flowering process, and then I just left them under the 12 hours of light and they flowered, and that was a Purple Kush by Canuck Seeds, so it happens a lot with a lot of different stuff, man. So if you guys have ever experienced that, then definitely drop in the comments down below and let me know. But again, there's a lot of different alternatives and factors that come into your plant flowering, how fast it will flower, how slow it'll flower. Things like transplant shock, drought, or shock from topping can have even bigger effects on a plant's growth cycle. So that's why you say be very careful with that, man. Be very careful. Don't let your plants get stunted, and if your plants get stunted, you can lose like 7 to 10 days, and that'll push back your harvest time or bring it forward, but with a smaller harvest. So it's always important to minimize the risk of any of those factors, guys, for sure, 100%. Now, there are a lot of myths that a lot of you guys will definitely know about, and these are just some of them, man. We actually got a couple more, so let's get straight on into those ones, man. Now, a lot of people actually also know that autoflowers like light. They like a lot of light. They like outdoors. You can grow them outdoors. You can grow them indoors, but at the end of the day, they like light, so you got to give them light. But there's a myth that says that autos need 24 hours of light a day. I got to give them as much light, even if it's indoors. I got to have that light on them all the time. Shout out to Mars Hydro, the TS1000 light bangs, the TS2000 light bangs. Mars Hydro's got some fantastic lights, the FC6500, FC3000. Guys, check that out. Hit the discount code ICANTHC and grab a discount. But in reality, you don't need lights on your plants 24 hours a day. That's another myth, but it's not entirely true. It depends on the individual strain you're growing. It's true that some autoflowers can perform better under 24-hour light settings, and you should definitely keep those settings if you're working with those strains. You notice that they'll looking real good under that 24 hours, just leave it. But some of them know that photosynthesis works just effectively in the darkness, and some strains will make that a lot more obvious. Some strains will be during that dark period, they really kick on the terpene buildings and the resin production and build a lot of the trichome builds and stuff. But it's always important just to give your plants a little bit of rest as well, right? How would you feel if you were under 24 hours of light a day, man? So a lot of people don't always go for the 24-hour option. Some people go for the 18/6, and that way your plant can rest a little bit during the off periods and stuff like that. Autoflowers is all about dialing in, man. Literally, especially with the autos. If you aren't dialed in and your environmental conditions and stuff like that are off, then your autos will struggle, man. And a lot of people struggle because of that. A lot of people say autos are great for beginners, but beginners often don't have things dialed in. I'm talking environmental conditions, RH, humidity. If you start off your seedling and it's in a low RH and you go get into veg and the RH is still low, and then you get into flower and the RH spikes up, then your plants, everything is crazy, man. So think of it that way. But in fact, even like a lot of people know, the autos can be run under 12 hours of light a day as well. 12 is great, simply because if you were running a photo period, you can throw your auto in there. Now that if you do that, you may not get the full potential out of your autoflower because they like a lot of light, and a lot of the magic happens under the light. So let's see what else we've got in terms of the myths, man, because we got another big ass myth, and a lot of people think or say that autoflowering strains can't be cloned. Now, is that true or is it not true, man? Have you ever taken a cutting from an auto? Drop it in the comments down below and let me know. And if you have, I'm sure that you've gotten it to root, man. Now, this is somewhat true, right? Now, let me break it down in how I think of it, right? This myth is not true simply because it is possible to clone autoflowers by taking a small branch from a mother and letting it grow under a 24-hour light cycle. But no one does it because the clones will usually produce lower yields than the mothers, man. Because remember, autoflowers are on this set time cycle, right? Set. Whatever you started is going to finish within a set time cycle after that. You can't prolong that shit. So even if you take a clone, which is a genetic copy, a DNA straight from the mother plant, it's going to be on that same time cycle. So it's going to flower, when it's ready. And you're probably not going to get like a great yield from it. So that's literally why autoflowering seeds are created from previous seeds and not from clones. See that, guys? See what I did there? So you definitely can take clones. You can get a clone. You can get it to root. You can, take a cutting and all that stuff. But is it going to be worth it? That's the real question. That's the multi-million-dollar question. So, guys, drop it in the comments. Let me know if you've ever taken a cutting from an auto. If you got into clone. If you did, what was your yield on that cutting, man? Because did you get a big yield? Did you get a small yield? Was it just absolutely not worth it? Like, I know some people that grow autos and, they may get an ounce from it or 2 ounces or 3 ounces. And if you take a cutting and, you get like, 7 grams. Is it worth it? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure because you got to re-veg that auto. You got to just actually no, you don't got to re-veg it because you probably take the cutting early on. But if you and that's another thing, man. Autos can be re-vegged, man. A lot of people don't even realize that. Like I've tried just keeping an auto running under a light, 24 hours of light, and it just sort of runs till it's dead pretty much, man. It's like, yeah, well, I can't do anything now, so interesting, man. That is some pretty interesting stuff. Now, the last myth, guys, and this one is a big one. A lot of people say that the autos are tasteless, right? And I'm not sure about that one, man. Is it really tasteless? Is it not tasteless? Like, personally, I've had some flowers that were really nice and tasty. They tasted pretty good, and I enjoyed it, man. They were good flowers. They were nice flowers. They were not bad by any means, man. So I think that one is all about, the personal subjectiveness of the person who's actually tasting it and enjoying it and stuff like that. But personally, I don't think that that's true, man. I've had some autos that had some real nice smell. They had flavor. They had effect. And a bunch from a decent autoflower created by a reputable breeder, your Mephistos, your Night Owl, your 420 Fast Buds and all those stuff. You'll probably get some good genetics from that. And you get some good effects and you get some good smells, tastes, and all that stuff, man. So definitely don't fall for those myths, man. There are a lot of myths out here, guys. So don't fall for those myths. Always make your own decision when it comes to these things. And let me know what you guys think about some of these myths. Are these myths some stuff that you actually have tried? If there's stuff that you actually believe? Do you actually not believe it? Do you agree with me on any of these stuff? Do you disagree? It's always okay to disagree. I'm always down to find out what you guys got to say. So drop it in the comments and let me know, man. And as always, we got to go on to the next part of the show, which is that Patreon topic shout out, man. So huge shout out to everyone that supported on Patreon, man, as always. But today's topic actually comes in from the big homie, the Elemental Gardener, man. And this was a great ass topic, man. So shout out to him for dropping this one, man. And he says, here's a quick one, maybe. After you brew your tea, what do you do with the remains? Put it back into soil, throw it away, can it be reused and replenished in a compost bin? Also, on a side note, what, if any, herbs can one grow to keep fungus gnats away? I know they don't like the basil I grow, but it doesn't help to keep them away. great topic, my man. Great question as well. So, guys, drop it in the topics if you are on the Patreon. We always run through those on the show. But this is a great one, man. When it comes to the compost tea, that's a great question, man. A lot of people actually don't just throw it away. They don't think about it. So, great props to you for thinking about that, man. Now, you can actually reuse the separated compost particles as a soil amendment, or you can just throw them into your compost pile, and replenish it, so to speak. So that is a great question. You can actually reuse that, and I've seen people who actually sort of mix that up with some other compost stuff, and they reuse that and drop it into another tea bag and make it into a sort of like compost smoothie almost. So there's a lot of different things you guys can do with it, because that's like some supercharged compost stuff. And even after steeping it in the water with the air stone and bubbles and all that, for 24 hours and whatever, you can definitely get a second lease of life on it, man. And for those who don't know, compost teas are great soil fertilizers, soil conditioners. They can be stored up to 4 or 6 days in a sealed light-proof container. Sometimes you can store it longer, but you want to provide some aeration every so often, just so that that microbial activity and life in there really just mixes up really nice. And you can make your own compost teas, or you can buy some of the pre-made ones. I had the pre-made Booze Brew compost tea bag, and I literally just took that tea bag and I put it in a bucket of water and added some molasses and some kelp and threw an air stone in there, bubble that shit up, and it was really nice. I did not have to get all the organic inputs myself, put it in a pantyhose, tie that up. It was all there prepared beforehand, man. So definitely check out my compost tea video, and check out some of the Booze Brew compost tea, because that stuff is really good, man. Those compost tea bags, they come like literally pre-made and ready for you to just throw it straight into whatever you're using, man. And they're pretty cost effective, man. So this is just a compost tea bag, and like I said, they're pretty dope and they work pretty nice from my experience. So if you're looking for an easy solution, that can definitely be one for you, man. So great question, my man. Great question. You can definitely put it back in the soil. Don't throw it away. If you don't want to, you can reuse it and you can replenish it. So shout out to the Elemental Gardener on that, man. But on his second question, which is also a great one, which herbs can you grow to keep fungus gnats away? Now, fungus gnats are so annoying, man. They really are annoying. I've actually had an issue with them in the past, and I took out the top layer of soil, because fungus gnats like to lay eggs in that top layer of soil. So I emptied that out and I replaced it with perlite, just so that they can't get in there and lay eggs and just chill out there as easily. I've tried stuff like DE, diatomaceous earth, and it didn't work that great. They literally were just having a party on the DE, almost like if they were on the beach. I was like, dude, what is even happening, man? But there are a lot of different plants that you can use as well. So if you don't want to use the perlite thing, because people don't necessarily like to use perlite sometimes, then you can definitely use some of the companion plants. I know lavender, chamomile, those sort of stuff are some great plants. I've actually got an article up right now which shows a couple of them. So lavender is a great one. You can use lavender. Despite its appealing smell to humans, like, it actually repels a lot of pests, including fungus gnats. Now you can also use things like this Cape Sundew, if you can find that where you're at. That's another great option. That is native to South Africa. Now there's dewy pine as well. I'm not sure how easy it is to find that dewy pine. This is native to the Mediterranean. So again, it all depends on where you're at. There's stuff like butterworts. There's also citronella grass, which is a good one if you're out in the Caribbean and stuff. I'm sure you can find some of that citronella candle and citronella grass and stuff like that. But there's also lemon thyme. Lemon thyme works pretty good. You can find that in different places. Marigold as well. Marigold is also really good. And that bright yellow blooms can attract natural predators that actually eat the fungus gnats and kill the larvae and stuff like that. So there are a lot of different plants, Cythosteranium, I'm not sure if I even pronounced that right, and there's the Venus flytrap, which is also a good one. A lot of people use the Venus flytraps, but you do know that those are like some actual crazy plants and stuff like that, so instead of using like artificial sticky traps, you can probably add a couple Venus flytraps. They're super cool and they naturally eliminate them. They feed on those insects that land on the modified leaves, and the mouth literally closes like a real cool little snap sort of thing. But if you've seen that in cartoons and stuff, it always looks pretty cool. You can get that in like certain parts of the eastern United States. And there's chamomile as well, man. So another great option. You can find these in different places, and these are all great options when it comes to just reducing the availability of the stuff that fungus gnats like to feed on. It sort of attracts predator insects to them, which also helps you to deal with some of the predator fungus gnats and stuff like that. So there are a lot of different things, guys, that you can use, and there are a lot of different things you can implement in your gardens to get these fungus gnats away, from bringing in predator insects to bringing in companion plants which attract predator insects to bringing in other plants, which will literally be like, okay, the fungus gnats love this plant, they will leave your weed plants alone, and they're going to all come to this plant, so things like that can definitely help, man. So shout out to the Elemental Gardener for doing some great stuff by dropping a great topic for us to discuss today, man. That was a great one. Shout out to him, man, always showing love. And guys, if you want to be part of the ICANN fam, definitely join up with the fam on Patreon. Hit the VIP Bean Club if you want to get some fire genetics. Mailboxes are burning down all over the fucking world, man. We literally, Paul, my homie Paul out in France, we hooked him up. Shout out to Paul. We hooked up my homies Davey T out in Australia. We got a lot of people, man, all over the world, man. But as of now, those are the old schools. For now, we got to just keep everything going and, just show some love, man. So if you want to join up and get some great perks in return, then definitely do that, man. And shout out for everyone that's dropped some of those questions. We're going to work through those as we progress, man. But I think that this was a great episode, man. But before I actually close off, because I almost forgot to mention, the Seed to Harvest episode of the Megasonic is dropping just now, man. The Seed to Harvest Megasonic episode is dropping right after this video. So definitely go on and head over there. And we're going to have a fun time. I'm going to be in the premiere with you guys as well. And we're going to chill out and see it, man. That Elevate Seeds Megasonic is a great strain. It's actually the Don Mega crossed with the Gary Payton, man. If you guys know about that Gary Payton is fire. It's a fucking fire strain, man. That Gary Payton is diesel, is gas, is hardcore fucking shit, man. So definitely check that out, guys. And for everyone that is showing love, we're going to do a 40K celebration super soon, man. We're going to have a massive giveaway. We're going to do all sorts of crazy stuff for you guys. So look out for that. You guys made this community possible. It made everything, what it is. Like, without the community, we wouldn't be here, man. So thank you guys so friggin' much. Smash the friggin' like button, man. Hit that bell. Don't forget, check out some Diesel Dog. Join that ICANN VIP Bean Club, and we see you guys on the next one. Wait, stay high and stay fly. Peace.